Lagos, in one of its rugged neighborhoods, there lived a boxer who had become a name everyone whispered about. Tunde the Hammer, with fist of iron and a heart that never gave up. He was on the verge of being Lagos' next big thing. His dreams of becoming the Nigerian lightweight champion were within his grasp. Every evening, the dimly lit boxing gym in Surulere echoed with the sound of his gloves hitting the punching bag and the loud encouragement from his coach Musa.
Tunde, don't forget. Your left hook, that's your weapon.
I hear you, coach.
Tunde would grunt, his body glistening with sweat, his eyes fierce with determination. His career was on fire. 5 consecutive knockouts. Fans chanted his name on the streets. Even corporate sponsors started to eye him. Nothing could stop him until she moved in next door. It was a humid evening when Tunde first saw her. He had just returned from a grueling training session, his muscles sore, his mind still in the ring. As he unlocked the door to his small flat, he noticed the moving van in front of the neighboring house, and there she was. Nkechi was stunning, the kind of beauty that makes a man lose his breath and his common sense all at once. Her skin was the color of rich caramel, her curves wrapped in a form-fitting dress that left little to the imagination. Her long braids cascaded the small of her back, and when her dark eyes met his, they held a dangerous allure. "Hi," she smiled, her voice like soft music. Tunde, normally composed, stammered.
Hi, I'm Tunde. Are you moving in?
Yes, I am. Nkechi. Nice to meet you, neighbor.
From that moment, Tunde's world shifted. His mind, once filled with fights, strategies, and training, now swirled with thoughts of her. He found himself peeking through his window, hoping to catch a glimpse of her occasionally. He skipped his early morning runs, choosing instead to linger by her door, offering to help her carry groceries or fix whatever needed fixing. "You're a boxer, right?" Nkechi asked one evening as they stood outside, the sun settling behind them. She was leaning against her door frame, her body language relaxed and inviting.
Yeah, I'm on my way to becoming the Nigerian champion.
Wow. I love strong men. I bet you can protect a girl like me.
I could do more than that.
And from then on, Tunde was hooked. Late night dinners, long conversations, stolen kisses in the hallway. His body revolved around Nkechi. But what he didn't notice was the gym was becoming a distant memory. A month had passed and Tunde's performance in the ring began to slip. Musa then noticed.
Where have you been? Your focus is off.
I'm fine, coach. Just tired.
Tired? Or distracted? I've been hearing things, Tunde, about that girl next door. Don't let her be the reason you fail.
The next fight came and it was a disaster. Tunde, once a lightning bolt on the ring, moved sluggishly. His punches lacked the usual power. His opponent, a hungry fighter from Ajingle, took full advantage and knocked Tunde out in the 3rd round, and then the crowd gasped in shock. As Tunde lay on the canvas, his vision blurry, the image that floated before him wasn't his opponent's victorious face. It was Nkechi, her lips parted in a teasing smile. Back in the locker room, Musa was furious.
What is this? Tunde, you've lost your fire. You think because you're the hammer, you can afford to slack.
I'm sorry, coach. I'm sorry. I just don't know what's wrong with me.
I'll tell you what's wrong. You've let that woman steal your focus. You think she cares about your boxing career? You need to get your head straight or you lose everything you've worked for.
But Tunde was too deep. Nkechi had become an addiction, and it wasn't long before his next fight ended in another defeat. Weeks passed, and the local media began to write him off. His name disappeared from sponsors' lips. Even the gym regulars had stopped cheering him on. The once promising career of Tunde the Hammer was crumbling, and he could feel it slipping away. One evening, as Tunde sat on the step of his building, nursing a bruised ego and a swollen eye, Nkechi approached him, her heels clicking on the pavement.
Tunde, what's wrong?
I lost again.
You get back up. You're strong. Remember.
Am I? Ever since I met you, everything's been falling apart.
So it's my fault now?
Maybe it is. I've been so caught up in you, I forgot who I am, what I was fighting for.
You can't blame me for your failures, Tunde. If you were strong enough, you'd balance both.
I'm done, Nkechi. I need to get back to my life.
Her words stung, and for the first time, Tunde realized that she was right and wrong. He had let himself be distracted, but the real failure was on him. He had lost sight of what mattered most. The next morning, Tunde returned to the gym, determined. Musa eyed him cautiously, but said nothing as Tunde began his warm-up.
I'm ready. I am. I just let myself get lost, but I'm back now.
Good, because you've got one last chance. There's a fight in 3 weeks. You win, maybe you'll claw your way back. You lose, well, you know what that means.
I won't lose.
For the next 3 weeks, Tunde trained harder than ever. No more late nights with Nkechi, no more distractions. He was back in the zone, his face flying with precision and power. Musa pushed him to the brink, and Tunde embraced the pain. On the fight night, the crowd was smaller than before, but it didn't matter. Tunde stepped into the ring, focused. His opponent, a brash newcomer, was no match for the man who had just rediscovered his fire. By the 5th round, Tunde's left hook landed with a brutal snap, and his opponent crumbled to the mat. The referee's count echoed in the arena, and Tunde wins by knockout. The crowd erupted. Musa rushed into the ring, hugging him tightly. "You did it, Tunde." Tunde smiled, his chest heaving with pride.
I'm back, coach.
Later that night, as Tunde walked home, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Nkechi.
I heard about the fight. Congrats. Maybe we can celebrate?
Tunde stared at the message for a long moment before shaking his head. He deleted the message, pocketed his phone, and kept walking. He had won his life back, and this time, he wasn't letting anything take it from him. Because now, he knew what mattered most. Tunde Adeyemi, popularly known as the Hammer, was back on top. His knockout victory had rekindled the fire in him, and Lagos once again whispered his name. His training sessions were brutal, his punches precise, and his left hook deadlier than ever. As he moved through the local boxing scene, he began to ascend even higher than before, but something still lingered in the back of his mind. No matter how much he tried to forget Nkechi's beauty, her presence, her allure, they haunted him. He had convinced himself that leaving her behind was the key to his success. Yet, late at night, her voice echoed in his thoughts. And then something strange happened. It was a quiet afternoon when Tunde crossed paths with Baba Ajasoro, a man known in the area as a seer with mystical powers. His reputation as someone who could see beyond the physical realm drew people from all over the city. The street was abuzz with stories of how he healed broken marriages, restored lost fortunes, and even guided a few athletes to victory. Tunde wasn't one to believe in such things. He had always relied on his fists, his grits, and his training. But one day, after a light run, he passed by Papa Ajasoro's small shop in a narrow alleyway.
Young man, you are Tunde Adeyemi, the boxer. But you are not at peace.
What do you mean? I just won my fight.
Winning a fight does not mean winning the war in your heart. You left something behind, didn't you? Or should I say, someone?
I'm sorry, but I don't know what you're talking about.
But you do. Come, let me show you the truth you seek.
Tunde's chest tightened. How did this old man know? Curiosity and something deeper, something he couldn't name, drew Tunde in. He followed the seer into the dark, incense-filled room at the back of his shop. Inside, Baba Ajasoro gestured for Tunde to sit on a small stool, while he himself sat on a mat. Eyes closed, chanting softly. The air felt thick, and Tunde could feel his heartbeat quicken as the seer lit candles and waved a bundle of herbs in the air.
You are troubled. You left behind a woman, the one you call Nkechi. But she is not just any woman. She is your destiny.
What do you mean? I had to leave her. I had to focus on my career.
But that is where you are mistaken. Nkechi was sent to you for a reason. She is the key to your true greatness.
But I've already found my focus again. I don't need...
You need her. She is the missing piece. You may win some fights, but you will never achieve your true glory without her by your side.
Baba Ajasoro replied. His eyes snapped open and locked with Tunde's. Tunde sat back, his mind racing. Could this be true? Was he destined to be with Nkechi, the woman he had tried so hard to forget? Baba Ajasoro's words rang in his ears, and doubt began to creep in. Maybe he had made a mistake.
Come. I will show you the future that awaits you. Close your eyes.
Tunde hesitated but finally obeyed, shutting his eyes as the seer began to chant again. The room grew even darker, and soon Tunde felt as though he was floating, his body weightless. He heard the seer's voice echoing around him, words of destiny, of love, and of glory. And then, visions. Tunde saw himself in a massive arena, larger than any he had ever fought in before. Thousands of people cheered his name, banners waved with his image, and at his side stood Nkechi, her hand in his. He was more than a champion, he was a legend. The world respected him, and his victories seemed endless. And every time he looked to Nkechi, her smile gave him strength. In this vision, she wasn't just a lover, she was his anchor and his muse. Suddenly, the vision shifted. He saw them in a beautiful house, married, celebrating their love. She was laughing, radiant. It felt perfect, like something out of a dream. And when Tunde opened his eyes, he was trembling. The intensity of the vision had shaken him to his core. Baba Ajasoro whispered,
You see, she is the one for you. You cannot escape this truth.
Tunde left the seer's shop feeling dazed, his mind in turmoil. For days, he couldn't stop thinking about what he had just seen. And eventually, he gave in. He sought out Nkechi, knocking on her door one late evening. And when she opened it, surprise flickered across her face.
Tunde, what are you doing here?
I made a mistake. I shouldn't have walked away from you. You're the one for me.
You left me because of your boxing?
I know, but I was wrong. You're my destiny.
The two rekindled their relationship quickly, falling back into a familiar rhythm. And as if Baba Ajasoro's word has been a self-fulfilling prophecy, Tunde's career soared. His punches were sharper, his stamina endless. With Nkechi by his side, he felt invincible. The boxing world watched in awe as he rose through the ranks, and in less than a year, he was the Nigerian lightweight champion. But Baba Ajasoro wasn't done with Tunde. The seer kept reappearing in his life, always with more visions, more promises of glory. If only Tunde continued to trust his guidance.
I see more greatness for you. But remember, it is Nkechi who brings you this success.
Baba Ajasoro would say, hypnotizing Tunde with his prophetic words. And Tunde, he believed every word. Soon after, Tunde married Nkechi in a lavish ceremony. The newspapers hailed it as a perfect union, the unstoppable champion and his beautiful muse. But behind the smiles and the celebration, a storm was brewing. Months passed, and Tunde began to grow anxious. He wanted children, someone to carry on his legacy. But Nkechi wasn't getting pregnant. Every time he brought it up, Nkechi would reassure him.
It will happen in time, Tunde. Just be patient.
But after a year of trying, they visited a doctor and the news hit Tunde like a punch to the gut. Nkechi couldn't bear children. It was as though the ground shifted beneath him. Late one night, after another sleepless evening, Tunde found himself at Baba Ajasoro's shop.
You told me she was my destiny.
Tunde shouted, his voice filled with frustration. The seer replied calmly, stirring a pot of herbs.
And she is, but destiny does not always unfold as we expect.
But I want children. I want a legacy.
Your legacy is not in children, Tunde. Your legacy is in the ring, in the victories you achieve. Nkechi is still your strength. Do not let this challenge blind you to what she has given you. Trust me. Your glory is still ahead.
These words trapped Tunde like a spell, calming his anger, suiting his mind. But Ajasoro had been right about everything so far. Maybe, just maybe, this was another part of the journey. And so, Tunde returned to Nkechi, his frustration quelled, his belief in their destiny unshaken. Though they could not have children, He convinced himself that his part lay in his career and that his victories would be enough. But deep down, as the years passed and the cheers from the crowd grew louder, Tunde couldn't help but wonder if the seer's prophecy were truly for his good, or if he had been led astray all along.